St. Kitts and Nevis.
From the VON Newsline, this is the VON Major Newscast.
Good evening. I am Danielle Moore in with your VON Major News package for today, Friday, February 14th, 2020. In our lead stories nationally, Resident Ambassador of Republic of China Taiwan provides insight on Pinny's recreational park project, and a desalination plant to be built in constituency number 8 in St. Kitts. Regionally, Puerto Rico's government loses $3.8 million to online scammers amidst recession. Internationally, U.S. election 2020, Buttigieg's sexuality becomes a campaign issue. And in sports, Ronaldo scores controversial late penalty to rescue Juventus. We'll add the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse,
VON.
Welcome back, and now for the national news. Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Tom Lee, has provided an insight about the status of the Pinny Recreational Park project here. The VON Newsline spoke with the ambassador, who stated,
Last year in July, our president came and she did a groundbreaking. And a lot of Nevisians may be wondering, it seems there's no progress, and there's no fencing, there's no workers, and people may be wondering what's going on. So I want to use this occasion to brief people. Actually, a lot of preparation works are ongoing. Premier Brandley and I, we visited a nursery, and we are going to nurse a lot of trees and also a lot of plants for the landscaping. And also the consultant, the detailed design, and we have submitted to NIA government. So right now, they will follow the procedure, construction procedure, and apply for a permit. So as soon as the permit is granted, and the real construction work can start.
Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China Taiwan to St. Kitts and Nevis, His Excellency Tom Lee. The multi-million-dollar project is funded by the Republic of China Taiwan in collaboration with the Nevis Island Administration. The cost of the project is some $3 million and the NIA has committed some $370,000 of the amount. In more national news,
you cannot overlook the fact that the prognosis for the weather climate this year is not looking good. So we have also decided to use the water. You know, over 2/3 of the Earth's surface is covered with water, but we have been very slow to recognize that and very slow to use that source. But we are moving towards reverse osmosis or desalination, and again, in number 8, we'll be the first beneficiary with a desalination plant over in Keys in Canada.
That's Minister with Responsibility for Water Services in St. Kitts, the Honorable Ian Patches Liburd. He was speaking in the National Assembly on Wednesday, February 12th. Desalination is a process that takes away mineral components of saline or salt water. It also refers to the removal of salts and minerals from a target substance. Additionally, in light of what the minister stated, constituency number 8 in St. Kitts includes places such as Monkey Hill, Stapleton, Connery, and Keon. In police news, lawmen are investigating a sexual assault incident that occurred in Basse-Terre area, St. Kitts, on February Tuesday 11th. Police say close to 8 p.m. on the said date, a female was attacked and assaulted by a masked male. Therefore, the police are making a special appeal to persons who might have any information regarding this incident to contact the Special Victims Unit by dialing 465-2241. The SVU can also be reached via cell phone at 665-3091. Persons can also contact their nearest police station or call the crime hotline at 707 if you have information that could lead to the capture of the perpetrator. Investigations into the matter are ongoing. Regional transformation through innovation. That was the theme for this year's 4th Growth Resilience Dialogue with Social Partners, held on Thursday, February 13th at the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, or ECCB, in St. Kitts, which featured public and private sector partners of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union. Governor of the ECCB, Timothy Antoine, said the forum is designed to actively engage stakeholders. Governor Antoine spoke of the theme and said it is inspired by empowering realization that we have the keys to unlock our growth potential. This year's discussions focused on 3 main areas, namely the renewable energy transformation, the digital economy transformation, and the payment system transformation. The 4th Growth and Resilience Dialogue was organized by the ECCB in collaboration with the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Commission and the World Bank. The annual Growth and Resilience Dialogue is designed to address issues that affect the lives of the people within the ECCU. In addition to the ECCB Monetary Council, participants included parliamentary opposition leaders, representatives from the business sector, civil society, churches, and youth groups, as well as officials of the OECS Commission, the World Bank, and the Caribbean Development Bank. The Department of Agriculture in St. Kitts, along with the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, held a workshop on Thursday, February 13th at the Department of Agriculture in La Grite, St. Kitts, where they discussed the management of empty pesticides. Global FAO Pesticides Restriction Toolkit trainer at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Guy Mothrin, said the idea of the workshop was to see if they can put together a committee who will be responsible for going forward for seeing those empty containers are managed properly. The FAO representative also highlighted that this is part of a regional project which involves 11 countries, namely Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, Dominican Republic, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and Trinidad and Tobago and Suriname. Director of Agriculture, Mr. Melvin James, said that the regional project by the FAO is about getting rid of obsolete pesticides. And finally, in our national news segment, in 2019, some 150 members of the Volunteer Corps were seen supporting many activities across St. Kitts and Nevis. They range from assisting the elderly and differentially abled to conducting beach and seabed cleanups, planting trees, and hosting educational training sessions. The positive actions were highlighted by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education and Youth, the Honorable Sean Richards, during the launch ceremony and orientation session for the newest comers of the Volunteer Corps. The event was held on Wednesday, February 12th at the Old Boys School. The young people, most of whom were students from the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, enrolled in the Supporting Advancement and Further Education, or SAFE program, were advised of the benefits of giving back to society. The students were reminded to reflect a positive attitude when engaging in their 4 hours of volunteer service per month. That is the national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or check us out on Facebook at Von Radio or our Von Radio YouTube channel for these and other stories. News from across the region is next.
personal as well as your business needs, and we're here to help. Our knowledgeable staff will work with you to help you achieve the financial success that you or your company needs in a competitive market. We offer solutions that make your banking experience easier, like our savings and checking accounts. Be sure to ask about our youth savers accounts and our Bank of Nevis Gold Club. We offer a wide range of personal loans, including mortgage, land, student, auto, and consumer loans. Have access to your funds instantly with our Be Online internet banking and our debit and credit cards. We make international banking and investing easy. How's your business? Give it the leverage it really needs by letting the Bank of Nevis assist you with all the necessary funding for all your business expenses. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Bank of Nevis.
Welcome back, and now for the regional news. Puerto Rico's government has lost more than US $2.6 million or $3.8 million after falling for an email phishing scam, a senior official says. Phishing is the fraudulent practice of sending emails purporting to be from reputable companies in order to induce individuals to reveal personal information such as passwords and credit card numbers. The finance director of the island's industrial development company, Ruben Rivera, said in a complaint filed to police on Wednesday local time that the agency sent the money to a fraudulent account, abc.net.au says. Mr. Rivera said the government agency transferred the money on January 17th after receiving an email that alleged to change to a bank account tied to remittance payments, according to a police statement. The executive director of the government agency, Emmanuel Laboy, declined to say how officials found about the scam, whether anyone has been dismissed, or how the company's operations have been affected by the missing funds. He said that an internal investigation was underway to determine whether someone was negligent or did not follow standard procedure, adding that government officials were trying to recover the money. The situation comes as the U.S. territory remains mired in a 13-year recession that has in part forced the government to cut back on some services. Trinidadian soca artist, actor, record producer, and songwriter Michael Montano is now a married man. The king of soca wedded his longtime girlfriend, Renee Butcher, at the Red House in Port of Spain on Friday. The Valentine's Day ceremony was held in a hallway located on the southern side of the building. The groom arrived at around 11:20 a.m., accompanied by his parents. Montano was dressed in a white suit, nationnews.com says. His bride came in minutes later wearing a white two-piece pants and off-the-shoulder top outfit with a trail attached. She wore a colorful flower hairpiece. Butcher was also accompanied by her parents. Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi greeted the couple at their vehicles with a white umbrella. The guests, close friends, and relatives of the couple were also dressed in all white. The ceremony was coordinated by Lisa Ghani, director of Exceptional Events Limited. Media photographers were not allowed on the compound. Out of the Dominican Republic, the opposition parties on Wednesday denounced to the Organization of the American States, or OAS, a series of electoral irregularities allegedly committed by the government during the electoral process. The bloc meet with the head of the OAS Observers Mission that will observe the municipal elections, former Chilean President Eduardo Frei, to whom they delivered a document stating the alleged irregularities committed by the government and the ruling party PLD. Among the reported anomalies figure the use and abuse of state resources, acts of political repression, and threats against opposition candidates and public employees. They also denounced government's actions in order to change the sovereign will, according to Dominican.today.com. In St. Lucia, a meeting of the National Health Security Committee was held last Friday at the office of the Prime Minister in an ongoing effort to keep relevant stakeholders updated on the coronavirus. Of concern in St. Lucia is the importation of meat and fish products from China. The Ministry of Agriculture's Chief Veterinary Officer, Dr. Aurora King-Sinak, explained that St. Lucia currently has no trade agreements with China regarding meat importations. Customs will continue to enforce current restrictions and inception requirements on all meat imports to St. Lucia, and that imported meats have to be given the all-clear by the Ministry of Agriculture. And finally, in our regional news segment, the Caribbean Development Bank, or CDB, is projecting regional economic growth to increase to 4.1% in 2020 from 1% last year, powered largely by stratospheric growth in Guyana, where oil production begins this year. President of the bank, Dr. Warren Smith, noted that this growth will be uneven and urged the borrowing member countries, or BMCs, of the bank to pursue policy reforms conducive of sustainable rates of growth. Speaking at the bank's annual news conference in Barbados this week, he said economic growth will remain lopsided and below the sustainable rates needed for long-term resilience. BMCs like Barbados, Grenada, and Jamaica must stay on course with their homegrown socioeconomic reform programs. Others should join the bandwagon and commence with alacrity implementation of their own adjustment programs, he further urged. That's the regional news segment. International news is up next. Welcome back, and now for the international news. Democratic presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg's sexuality has become a campaign issue after a radio host questioned if voters would pick a man kissing his husband on stage. Firebrand conservative Rush Limbaugh said Democrats must realize America still is not ready to elect a gay man. Mr. Buttigieg's Democratic rivals leaped to his defense, and President Donald Trump said he would vote for a gay man. Mr. Limbaugh was last week awarded a top civilian honor by the president. On his radio show, which is nationally syndicated to millions of listeners, Mr. Limbaugh on Wednesday imagined Democrats' deliberations over who to vote for. If elected, 38-year-old Mr. Buttigieg would be the first openly gay president. He is the former mayor of South Bend, Indiana, a city of just over 100,000 people. In Iowa's caucuses last week, one voter asked to rescind her ballot for Mr. Buttigieg after learning he was gay. Chinese officials have given figures for health workers infected with the new coronavirus amidst concerns about shortages of protective equipment. 6 health workers have died and 1,716 have been infected since the outbreak, they said. The death a week ago of Dr. Li Weilang, who tried to warn authorities early about the virus, provoked a burst of public anger and grief. More than 1,300 people are now known to have died from the virus. The latest figures show 122 new deaths in China, bringing the death toll to 1,381. The total number of infections has jumped to 63,922 cases, according to the National Health Commission. More in this BBC report.
Of course, if you're at the absolute coalface, you're exposing yourself to those who are sick, and they're working very long hours. We've seen footage of doctors and nurses asleep in hallways on chairs. They're completely overwhelmed by the size of this crisis, and for that reason the People's Liberation Army has flown in thousands of extra teams from the military to try and bolster the effort to fight this virus.
Scores of women students have staged a protest outside an Indian college, saying they were forced to remove their underwear to prove they were not menstruating. The incident occurred in Shankanjian Girls Institute on Thursday, according to SheThePeople.tv. The BBC's Catherine Davis reports.
The students told reporters that the college authorities had lined up 68 of them in the washroom and ordered them to undress. "There are no words to describe the humiliation we faced," said one woman. Under the sex rules, students are banned from the hostel when they're having their periods. They must stay instead in an isolated basement area. In India, periods have long been a taboo. Menstruating women are believed to be impure and are still excluded from social and religious events.
And finally, in our international news segment, the German economy had another very weak 3 months at the end of last year, according to official figures. Gross domestic product, or GDP, the total production of goods and services, was almost unchanged from the previous quarter. Germany is very exposed to the tensions in international trade, and the weak new figures partially reflect a fall in overseas exports. Compared with the same period in 2018, the GDP was higher by just 0.4%. Although there was some expansion, growth was reported at 0.0% when rounded to one decimal place by the German Statistics Office. The sluggish performance was down partially to a decline in exports. Investment in machinery and equipment was also down considerably between October and December. The Statistics Office does not offer an explanation, but it is certainly possible that it reflects the uncertain outlook for international trade. One factor is likely to weigh on manufacturing firms when considering whether to invest is what sort of barriers they will face, which could make it more difficult to sell their goods abroad. That is the international news segment. Sports is up next.
Your business needs. Superior copy and printing services, business equipment and furniture, and a wide array of renting materials for all occasions. TDC Business Center, providing solutions that work.
Welcome back, and now into sports. In football, Cristiano Ronaldo's controversial late penalty rescued a draw for below-par Juventus in the first leg of their Coppa Italia semi-final at AC Milan. Before the penalty, the score was AC Milan 1 goal, Juventus 1 goal. Juve looked set for a third straightaway defeat after AnteRebic's volley put Milan ahead before the hosts lost Theo Hernandez to second yellow card after 71 minutes. The visitors offered little threat despite their man advantage, but the late VAR-awarded spot kick allowed Ronaldo, 35 last week, to make it 35 goals in 35 games for club and country. The second leg in Turin is on March 4th. In local sports, the St. James Primary School held its annual road relay races on Thursday, February 13th. There were just 2 races, as the girls and boys had to be mixed in order to get full teams for the respective houses. The results were as follows for the juniors. First place, Gold House. Second place, Green House. And third place, Red House. For the seniors, first place, Green House. Second place, Red House. And third place, Gold House. The school will host its cross-country races on February 20th and its annual sports day on Tuesday, March 3rd. In cricket, the ICC Women's T20 World Cup 2020 warm-up fixture between West Indies and hosts Australia has been cancelled after heavy rain over the past few days rendered the conditions at Allan Border Field in Australia unplayable. The city of Brisbane has been pounded with storms and heavy rain in recent days. That precipitation followed weeks of wet weather, with cumulative rainfall in Queensland capital already exceeding average annual levels. The West Indies are due to have a second warm-up match against India at the same venue on Tuesday. From there, they travel from the East Coast to Perth on the West Coast for their first tournament match against newcomers Thailand at the historic WACA ground. The match will be played on Saturday, February 22nd. First ball is at 3 p.m., 3 a.m. Eastern Caribbean Time, and 2 a.m. Jamaica Time. In more cricket, England threw away the opportunity to defeat South Africa in the first 2020 international, losing a dramatic contest in East London. England needed 3 from the final delivery of the match, but Alid Rashid could only manage a single. England was countering to their target of 178 as Jason Roy plundered 70 from 38 balls, only for his dismissal to spark South Africa's resurge. Even then, Owen Morgan's 52 meant England needed just 7 from the final over, yet the brilliant Lungi Njidi had Tom Curran caught at a deep mid-wicket and bowled Moeen Ali. In the end, the scores were as follows. South Africa 177 for 8 with 20 overs, Bavuma 48, Jordan 2 for 28. England 176 for 9 with 20 overs, Roy 70, Njidi 3 for 30. South Africa won by 1 run. And finally, in sporting news, in tennis, British number 3 Kyle Edmund progressed to the quarterfinals of the New York Open with a single straight set victory over Dominic Koepfer. 8th seed Edmund took 1 hour and 33 minutes to beat German 6-2, 6-4. The 25-year-old will play South Korea's Kwon Soo-woo, who meet Milos Raonic 6-2, 6-7, 6-3 in his second round match. Britain's Cameron Norrie failed to join Edmund in the last 8, losing 6-4, 6-4 to Jason Jung of Chinese Taipei. That's it for sports. The latest weather forecast is up next. The weather tonight: partially cloudy to cloudy with a 60% or moderate chance of showers. The weather tomorrow: mostly cloudy with a mixture of passing showers and light rain. Winds easterly at 10 to 18 knots or 19 to 33 kilometers per hour, with higher spells over coastal waters and elevated terrain, and gusting higher in some showers. Seas 1.8 to 2.4 meters or 6 to 8 feet in the waters east of the islands, and a small craft advisory remains in effect for these waters. The waters on the western side of the islands are safer for marine activities. Sunrise tomorrow 6:38 a.m., sunset tomorrow 6:12 p.m. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Friday, February 14th, 2020. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, Resident Ambassador of the Republic of China, Taiwan, provides insight on Pini Recreational Park project. And a desalination plant to be built in constituency number 8 in St. Kitts. Regionally, Puerto Rico's government loses $3.8 million to online scammers amidst recession. Internationally, U.S. election 2020, Buttigieg's sexuality becomes a campaign issue. And in sports, Ronaldo scores controversial late penalty to rescue Juventus. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Daniel Moore, wishing you a great weekend. News.